Greetings, fellow Insomniacs, and welcome to Insomniac Gaming Theater. I am your host, the Crazy Player. Welcome back to our Let's Learn series for Dark Souls 1. This is Death Doesn't Matter Part 2. So, in this episode, we're going to be going through and grabbing a whole bunch of stuff that realistically we should be too low level to do. So we are currently in, I believe it's Darkroot Basin. We came up through the Valley of the Drakes, and we are going to be heading out into the basin. Now, this is going to be tricky, because right here is a Black Knight. These guys are bastards. Now, he won't come into this cave. So as long as we're in this cave, we're fine. But these guys hit really hard. You're very confident. You can try and parry them. Now here's the thing though. It doesn't matter how many times we die to this guy. We only need to kill him once, because with the exception of one area at the very end of the game, Black Knights don't respawn. So we can die to him as many times as we want. So, practice getting good at killing these guys. They can be parried, assuming you actually get the parry time, which admittedly I am not right now. There is also another way you can fight this guy. Well, there's a couple of different ways. Remember, gravity is an equal opportunity killer in this game. And so if we can knock him off of this cliff, he will die. We can also dang. But we can fireball him to death. We have 0 souls, and besides, we don't lose anything. So we can just keep going at this as long as it takes. By the way, under certain circumstances, yes, attacks can hit through walls. We got him. And we got the Black Knight Halberd, which is not a guaranteed drop. The Blue Titanite chunk is always a guaranteed drop from that guy, but the Black Knight Halberd is not. So don't plan on that as part of your way of doing things. And by the way, he gave us 1,800 souls. So we're going to grab this item real quick. This is the Grass Crest Shield. Now, let's look at the Black Knight Halberd real quick. So, stats on this are pretty high. It requires 32 strength and 18 dexterity, and has a D and an E in terms of its damage parameter, in terms of how much strength and dexterity affect its damage bonus, but it has a huge attack power. I know a lot of quality builds that use the Black Knight Halberd as their weapon of choice. I don't personally care for it, but it is a very solid weapon choice. Usually, the The Black Knight Halberd is usually wielded two-handed. Because of that, it is usually paired with the Grass Crest Shield, which is important because of this part right here. Grass Crest is lightly imbued with magic, which slightly speeds stamina recovery. This makes it a good shield for if you are just running around from place to place. It's a good shield to have on you. In fact, we're going to swap over to it. Now, it is important to point out, in case you missed it, that the Grass Crest Shield is only a 95% physical reduction shield, which means you will take chip damage as you are using it to defend yourself. But most of the time, people just use it for its stamina recovery properties and wear it on their back while they two-hand. That is a very common usage. We're going to sit. We're going to... By the way, we can do this here because, as I mentioned previously, Black Knights, with the exception of one area in the game, they don't respawn. Now, I am going to push my faith up by 2. And that brings us to... Because we want to have as few souls as possible as we're running around doing Death Doesn't Matter. Because we are going to die a fair amount. Now, I'm pushing my faith up, but by all means, if you want to go for a quality build, bring your strength and dexterity up. Once I hit 14 faith, I'm going to want to bring my endurance up a little bit. I actually have a number that I need to hit. Whatever the requirement is to use the Astora Straight Sword. We're going to be using that for a good chunk of the beginning of the game, or at least I am. That said, we're going to get a number of different weapons that you can use, and all of them are good. If you don't feel like doing faith, then you can put your points into strength and or dexterity. That's a very strong... You can basically turn this into a quality build where strength and dexterity are equally leveled and just use pyromancy as an extra, as a perfectly viable strategy. I personally like the Dex Faith build. That's me. So, we're going to head out into the basin. Now, we're actually going to want to go up that way. And actually, I think about it. So, also, I should point out, we picked up the Brigand Hood, which is what the Bandit... The Bandit starts with... the Brigand set of armor. I'm actually going to stick with the Tattered Cloth set, but that's me. There are definitely other ones that you can swap out for, but we're going to want to hop down here. And not only do we get the leather armor set, but we get the longbow, which is important. The longbow is going to be an important weapon later. It has A scaling. We need 14 dexterity to use it. We only have 12. But there are the things that's most important for we're not super concerned about. But also, like I said, we're doing a Dex Faith build, so we are eventually going to bring it up. So we take a little bit of damage falling off the cliff. And then we're going to run over this way, and we're going to grab a couple of things. So, first of all, over in that direction is the Hydra. Look, you can just barely make it out amongst the trees. He's kind of a mini-boss. Once you kill him, he doesn't respawn. The Crystal Golems, on the other hand, do respawn, and they are brutal at this level. They are also very magic resistant. Down by the shore is a set of heavy armor, but we're going to skip that for the moment. Also, up here is a door that you can unlock with the master key. Behind this door is Havel. And Havel is not to be trifled. Yeah, this guy's following me. Yeah. Alright. That's Havel. I'd rather face Havel. So Havel is a monster. Right? You kill him once though, and he's done, and he can be parried. Don't want to be using this weapon though. Eventually we are going to kill Havel. But for now, we are running. If we end up dying, no big loss, but I am still going to pause and go back down to the bonfire to recover our lost health. Actually, nah, we'll hit the bonfire. No point in wasting resources. Because the bonfire down here is only level 1, it'll only restore up to 5 Estus flasks, but because we haven't used any, we're still at 10, so we're not going to use them until we act. Oh, that gets us. So that resets the enemies. But yes, so at some point we are going to kill Havel. Havel can be killed. He can be parried and riposted to death. It requires nerves of steel, but you can and will do it. So now we're going to go back up this way. And this is going to take us up to Darkroot Garden. Okay, so those lizards drop upgrade materials when they disappear. See if we can get him to reset. So we're going to quit out of the game. Load back in. And sure enough, he respawned. And he's gone already. Alright, we need a more serious weapon to kill him because the axe isn't going to do it for us. And we don't cast fast enough. So, no biggie. Alright, so we're going to swap shields real quick here. Because we want a 100%... It's almost bad. Yeah, we want a 100% block shield. Because we're going to find ourselves in a problematic situation. Now, despite the fact that these guys look humanoid, they are not. So they cannot be riposted. They can be blocked, but they can't be riposted. And sadly, our weapon does very little damage. Alright. Our fire, however, surprisingly does a lot of damage to plant dudes. Okay. Those phantoms give me the heebie-jeebies. Okay, so this leads into the Undead Parish. There is a big, nasty demon right there. And like all things in this game, eventually we are going to kill him. But for now, we're just going to run past him. He mostly casts lightning, and he's relatively slow to do it. So we're going to run up here. And this is Andre. Andre is going to be one of our best buds. He's one of the smiths in this game, and he upgrades the standard weapon path, which we're going to be using most of the time. So... And he also sells us a lot of good stuff. So we're going to talk to him.
Well, you must be a new arrival. I'm Andre of Astoria. If you require smithing, then speak to me.
And he can repair our equipment. We'll teach you a gesture. Hitting the right thing. Okay, so he will sell you Titanite shards. And at 800 souls apiece, which actually isn't a bad rate. We don't have that right now, but eventually we'll be able to get that. He also sells you a number of important things. Crest of Artorias, the Weaponsmith box, which allows you to upgrade weapons at the bonfire, the Armorsmith box, which allows you to reinforce armor at a bonfire, the Repair box, which allows you to repair armor at a bonfire. It also sells a bunch of different weapons. In general, I don't consider it worthwhile to buy the weapons from him, mostly because you're going to find them elsewhere. But on the other hand, he sells arrows, and you are going to want arrows. So I generally find the standard arrows to be sufficient, but we are going to want them. So, by the way, to clarify, arrows are for bows. Bolts are for crossbows. Yes, there are crossbows. And you can talk to him.
Seeing you, man. Be careful out there.
Do you hear that ringing? That means that somebody rang the first bell of awakening. That's up from here. Now, this is the Undead Parish bonfire. We are going to sit at it so that we save up here. And then we are going to go out this way and have a brief conversation with Onion Bro.
Oh, forgive me. I was absorbed in thought. I am Sigmeyer of Katarina. Quite honestly, I've run flat up against a wall. Or a gate, I should say. The thing just won't budge. No matter how long I wait. And oh, but I waited. So here I sit, in quite a pickle, weighing my options, so to speak.
Yeah, so we call him Onion Bro because of the armor that he's wearing. But this is Sigmeyer. And he is a questline NPC, which is to say he has a questline that we can follow throughout the course of this game as we help him and, help him get to places and generally accomplish things. So, keep in mind that he exists. Unfortunately, if you talk to him again, he just repeats his last line about how he's waited and he's in quite a pickle. So, for the moment, there's not much else to do with Onion. Now, we are going to want to go up eventually. First, we're going back out into the basin, running past the demon again. Don't bother stopping to fight this guy right now. It is not worth it. Eventually it'll be worth it. He doesn't leave that room though. So, we're okay. Yeah, when they start to do that move where they raise their arm-like appendages up and look like they're about to swing forward, either roll out of the way if they're high on health, or kill them if they're low, because they will do a thing where they grab you and they chomp on you, and at the level we're at, that's instant death. Part of the reason why I usually get close enough to do a couple of swings worth of damage first. Oh, no. There we go. We don't want to go down to the pizza. These guys also can't be backstabbed. Once you have enough health, well, oh, Limerickers. These guys actually have a fairly high chance of dropping some specialty mosses that we want, but alas, we're not having good luck with that. That's okay. Now, one of the reasons we're coming this way is because we want to get that item, but so be very careful here, because this guy is a problem, and there's actually a normal-looking hedge right here that is a trap. There we go, purple moss gloves. Which, let's see. Cures poison. Very, very useful. Now, blood red moss, which cures bleeding. So, poison, you want to wait until it builds up and then cure the poison. Bleeding, on the other hand, you want to wait until, or if you wait until it builds up, it's already too late, because it will do damage to you and you will die. Alright. It doesn't look like we're... So, this is where you put the Crest of Artorias, which costs you 20,000 souls, but you will easily get that refunded several times over. This message says, Illusionary Wall ahead. And they are correct. Ooh, somebody is swanky. We're going to light this bonfire, and we're going to sit here because it is a relatively safe place to be. Actually, before we go any further, I am going to go back and do things. One is check and see. Yeah, 14 faith there. We just store a straight sword. So we're going to level up. Now, this is a trap. You'll actually get a lot of these. There is an item in the middle, and if you look, there are 3 of these little fern-like things. So we're going to grab this, we're going to roll out, we're going to run away a little bit, and then we are going to quit the game. And that should have reset their aggro. Now, they're still going to be standing up, which means that they may attack us when we walk by. But if they don't, Yeah, one of them is. Yeah, they're attacking us. Alright, well, they're going to attack us anyway, so we're actually going to go... We're going to hit the fog wall here. Reverse the light, head over this way. Follow the left wall here, and get to right about here. We are actually going to quit out of the game again. That should reset them back to where they were. And reset their aggro so that they are not following us and trying to attack us. Okay, good. Now, on this tree right here, looks like... Ah! Fudge. Okay. That is not one of the three that were following us before. There's another one. But on this tree right here, there is a thing that looks like a vine, but it's actually a snake. Dang, our attacks are weak right now. Alright, so that died. The reason we came over here is to get the partisan, which is a polearm, has relatively low requirements, and is a good weapon choice. Like I said, I'm going to be going through and getting a lot of different items because I want to give you as many choices as possible in terms of getting weapons. Now, hopefully we didn't aggro anything else. Over there is a heavy armor set, but it is surrounded by a bunch of stone golems, and frankly, we don't want any of that action. Now, you'll notice the base of this tree is moving. That's because it is an enemy. Put on Grass Crest Shield. And two-hand this. And sadly, it is going to take a little bit to hack away at this guy. We're literally chopping down the tree with that. They're not even really worth that much experience, but... So that tree hides the path, leads down here. Now, fortunately, these guys have no poise, which means that if you hit them, they take damage and get interrupted. Alright. And... if you notice, this tree is slowly spinning. It is another enemy, but we can actually just run past this one. And then... up this way. And we don't want to hang around up here because we are here to get an item, but if we hang around too long, that stone golem that we just ran past will kill us. So if we do this right, we can jump and land on the other side, or we can fall to our death. Right next to the tree, in fact. Death doesn't matter. The important part was getting the ring. Because That ring is the wolf ring, which boosts poise. Now, poise is a stat that comes on armor that means that when enemies hit you, they don't interrupt you, depending on the power of the attack. Most bosses... I was almost extra bad. Most bosses hit more than hard enough that it doesn't matter, but occasionally it is worthwhile. You know what? Right, past these guys. I don't feel like getting into a long extra... I don't feel like getting into a long fight with a bunch of the root guys. This guy will pop up. Past him. We're going to run past this guy. We're going to run past this guy. Past this guy too. By the way, for any number of reasons, the bushy dudes will not come in here. So run past Andre. We'll save real quick. Or we'll sit at that bonfire, so that's our respawn point. And then we are going up into... This is the Undead Parish. Now, we're going to spend a lot of time running past. So, there is a big nasty guy right here. We are going to try and pull past him, grab the item off of the altar, run past again, and then run over here, hit this elevator, go down. Alright, want to make sure that we didn't accidentally get hit. Remember this thing. This is going to be important a little bit later. But this elevator takes us back to is an item up here, and this takes us back to Firelink Shrine. So see, we did a big circle leading back to Firelink. So we're going to sit at Firelink, make this our save point, and then we're going to go do the last little bits. There's a couple more things that we want to grab real quick. And then we're going to get into the really crazy part of Death Doesn't Matter. So, first of all... I don't... Oh. Huh. Oh, no, it's upstairs. I think. There is another... Yeah. We're going to grab all of the items that we can. Then we're going to go into the graveyard beyond. And grab a bunch more weapons. Alright, so this next part, very definitely a death run. Chances of us getting out alive are slim to none, and Slim is on a fast-moving train out of town. Oh, actually, we don't want to come down here this way. We actually want to come down. We want to go down there this way. I almost forgot. Sorry, my memory is good, but it's not photographic, and sometimes I get caught up in the flow and don't stop and think about the little details. We actually want to come this way because We are not going on to the one with the lift. We're actually going to drop down here. It's a very short fall. We don't even take damage. But back here, we will find a stash of chests with a bunch of equipment, including cracked red-eye orb, which is used to initiate PvP. We're not going to be using those on this playthrough. A morning star and a talisman. And by the way, if I recall correctly, yes, this morning star is an upgrade, including it has a bleed effect on it, which means that most enemies that we hit with them, if we hit them enough, it will build up bleed, and they will lose a large portion of their health. This will be especially useful when we eventually go to beat Havel. Talisman is also what you use to use miracles. And then the Homeward Bone, which takes you back to the last bonfire you rested at. And Lloyd's Talisman, which is used in PvP because if you throw it at undead, they can't use the Restus Flask. Actually, technically, you can use it on some of the enemies in PvE as well, player versus environment, but realistically, it's not worth doing most of the time. Most of the I don't remember any of the bosses that use it, so we're going to run over here, grab this. We're going to run past these guys. Don't bother trying to fight these guys. They are too strong, and they are not worth it. They are not worth a lot of souls. So we are now mid. So we got the winged spear. We got this Vihander. We got the binoculars, and then we are going to use the dark sign and go back to... Technically, we could have just jumped off the cliff, but I actually didn't feel like seeing the "you died" animation. The practical net effect is the same. So we're going to set the bonfire, and then we're going to look at some of the weapons that we picked up. So, at the end of our run, we have the Astoris Straight Sword, the Zweihander, which is a huge two-handed weapon, so if you want to do a strength build, this is a good weapon to build around. The S-Stock, which is a dexterity weapon. The Hand Axe, which is just kind of a middling weapon, but hey, we can use it. The Morning Star, which is technically a strength weapon, but really we're using it because it has bleed on it. The Winged Spear, which is... leans a little bit more towards a dexterity build. This is very strong in a number of different builds. It says we're unable to wield this weapon effectively. I just want to demonstrate something. Okay. So, I don't know if it'll let me show this. No, it won't, because I don't have the dex for it. Usually, basically, the thing about spears, and this includes the partisan, is if you're blocking and you attack with it, you don't drop your guard. So the partisan is also a... I wanted to actually show the stats. The partisan is more or less a quality weapon. It is also a spear. We got lucky enough to pick up the Black Knight Halberd. If you want to use that. We've got the longbow. We've got a pyromancy flame. We've got a talisman. We've got we've got the spider shield, which has resistance to poison and is a 100% physical damage block shield. We have the Grass Crest shield, which gives us stamina back. We have the Dragon Crest shield, which has 100% reduction and good fire resistance. We've got a lot of different options. Now, the last thing we are going to do... So, the last thing that we are going to do at the end of this episode is we are going to... Actually, we're going to do that first. And this episode's going to be a little long, but we are going to go down here, talk to the Firekeeper. We're going to reinforce our Estus Flask again. And then we are going to crack all of our soul items and use those souls to upgrade. Now, if you are in the remastered edition, then you can use multiple of these simultaneously. If you are in the Prepare to Die edition, then you're going to want to put them into one of your item slots because, and use them from the use item menu along with the Estus. Here, let me show you. Oh, off. Yeah. Or actually, yeah, no. So, in addition to the Estus Flask, you have item slots that you can put in here. So, for example, I'm going to put in the Homeward Bone here. If you are on the Prepare to Die edition, you're going to want to put the various soul items onto one of those slots because it makes using them much faster, and then take them off when you've used them all. Since we are on the Remastered edition, we can just use multiple of them from the menu as one of the quality of life. So we are going to end up with a large number of souls. We're going to crack them all, and then we're going to spend them all. Or at least as much as we can. So you'll notice that run got us over 8,000 souls, and that's not including the souls that we just said, heck with it. So we're going to level up. I'm going to get my faith up to 14. I'm going to get my endurance up to 12. I'm going to get my dexterity up to 12. And then I'm going to push my faith up a little. I'm going to choose to push my faith up a little higher because I have something I want later. Well, actually, I'm going to push it up to 50. And let's see. Do a couple of points of vitality. And then, yeah, 13 dexterity. Sounds good. That's going to leave us with a small remainder. And that's what I'm going to choose to do. If you want to do a quality build, you can just keep putting those points into strength and dexterity. Don't forget your endurance. It's extremely important because it controls how much you can run and how many times you can swing. I put a little bit into vitality because I want a little bit extra buffer in my HP because we're going to be doing something crazy next. And if you want to do a strength build, you can put them into strength. Basically, you can put the points wherever you want. I'm doing a strength dexterity build because I think that's a good place for start. But we're eventually going to work up a lot of things, and a quality build would be very good. And also, technically, we're not done getting weapons, because there's a couple more we're going to pick up in part 3, I think it is, of Death Doesn't Matter. So, I will hopefully see you all then. And until then, it's rest. Thank you for joining us here at Insomniac Gaming Theater. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to give us a like, subscribe, or support us through the Patreon link in the description.